When you were little, did you and your siblings ever communicate in a secret language around your parents? It didn't really matter what you were talking about, as long as your parents didn't know what it was. That was the fun part, right? It may have seemed like a fun game when you were younger, but for as long as humans have been around, we've created ways to keep messages secret from others. In this lesson, we'll cover how this plays out through symmetric encryption, asymmetric encryption, and hashing. We'll also go over how to describe the most common algorithms in cryptography and learn how to choose the most appropriate cryptographic method in any given scenario. But before we dive into the nitty-gritty details of cryptography, the various types that exist in their applications, let's go over some terminology and general principles that will help you understand the details later. The topic of cryptography, or hiding messages from potential enemies, has been around for thousands of years. It's evolved tremendously with the advent of modern technology, computers, and telecommunications. Encryption is the act of taking a message, called plaintext, and applying an operation to it, called a cipher, so that you receive a garbled, unreadable message as the output, called ciphertext. The reverse process, taking the garbled output and transforming it back into the readable plaintext, is called decryption. For example, let's look at a simple cipher where we substitute E for O and O for Y. We'll take the plaintext, hello world, and feed it into our basic cipher. What do you think the resulting ciphertext will be? Hopefully, you've got Holly World. It's pretty easy to decipher the ciphertext, since this is a very basic example. A cipher is actually made up of two components, the encryption algorithm and the key. The encryption algorithm is the underlying logic or process that's used to convert the plaintext into ciphertext. These algorithms are usually very complex mathematical operations, but there are also some very basic algorithms that we can take a closer look at that don't necessarily require a PhD in math to understand. The other crucial component of a cipher is the key, which introduces something unique into your cipher. Without the key, anyone using the same algorithm would be able to decode your message, and you wouldn't actually have any secrecy. So to recap, first, you pick an encryption algorithm you'd like to use to encode your message. Then, choose a key. Now you have a cipher which you can run your plaintext message through and get an encrypted ciphertext out, ready to be sent out into the world, safe and secure from prying eyes. Doesn't this make you feel like an international person of mystery? Just wait. Given that the underlying purpose of cryptography is to protect your secrets from being read by unauthorized parties, it would make sense that at least some of the components of a cipher would need to be kept secret too, right? You could make the argument that by keeping the algorithm secret, your messages are secured from snooping third parties, and technically, you wouldn't be wrong. This general concept is referred to as security through obscurity, which basically means if no one knows what algorithm we're using, or general security practice, then we're safe from attackers. Think of hiding your house key under your doormat. As long as the burglar doesn't know that you hide a spare key under the mat, you're safe. But once that information is discovered, all security goes out the window, along with your valuables. So clearly, security through obscurity isn't something that you should rely on for securing communication or systems, or for your house for that matter. This overall concept of cryptography is referred to as Kirchhoff's principle. This principle states that a cryptosystem, or a collection of algorithms for key generation and encryption and decryption operations that comprise a cryptographic service, should remain secure, even if everything about the system is known, except for the key. What this means is that even if your enemy knows the exact encryption algorithm you use to secure your data, they're still unable to recover the plaintext from an intercepted ciphertext. You may also hear this principle referred to as Shannon's maxim, or the enemy knows the system. The implications are the same. The system should remain secure, even if your adversary knows exactly what kind of encryption systems you're employing, as long as your keys remain secure. We already defined encryption, but the overarching discipline that covers the practice of coding and hiding messages from third parties is called cryptography. The study of this practice is referred to as cryptology. The opposite of this, looking for hidden messages or trying to decipher coded message, is referred to as cryptanalysis. These two fields have co-evolved throughout history, with new ciphers and cryptosystems being developed as previous ones were broken or found to be vulnerable. One of the earliest recorded descriptions of cryptanalysis is from a 9th century Arabian mathematician who described a method for frequency analysis to break coded messages. Frequency analysis is the practice of studying the frequency with which letters appear in ciphertext. The premise behind this type of analysis is that in written languages, certain letters appear more frequently than others, and some letters are more commonly grouped together than others. For example, the most commonly used letters in the English language are E, T, A, and O. The most commonly seen pairs of these letters are TH, ER, ON, and AN. Some ciphers, especially classical transposition and substitution ciphers, preserve the relative frequency of letters in the plaintext, and so are potentially vulnerable to this type of analysis. During World War I and World War II, cryptography and cryptanalysis played an increasingly important role. There was a shift away from linguistics and frequency analysis and a move towards more mathematical-based analysis. This was due to more complex and sophisticated ciphers being developed. A major turning point in the field of cryptanalysis was during World War II, when the US allies began to incorporate sophisticated mathematics to aid in breaking Axis encryption schemes. This also saw the first use of automation technology applied to cryptanalysis in England at Bletchley Park. The first programmable digital computer, named Colossus, was developed to aid in this effort. While early computers were applied to breaking cryptography, this opened the door for a huge leap forward in the development of even more sophisticated and complex crypto systems. Steganography is a related practice but distinctly different from cryptography. It's the practice of hiding information from observers but not encoding it. Think of writing a message using invisible ink. The message is in plain text and no decoding is necessary to read the text, but the text is hidden from sight. The ink is invisible and must be made visible using a mechanism known to the recipient. Modern steganographic techniques include embedding messages and even files into other files, like images or videos. To a casual observer, they would just see a picture of a cute puppy. But if you feed that image into steganography software, it would extract a message hidden within the image file. What's not so secret is how fun it is to learn about all this spy stuff, don't you think?